जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय श्री श्री कृष्णा रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय जगत गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, verse number 6. Evam para abhidhyanena, evam para abhidhyanena, evam para abhidhyanena, kartrutvam प्रकृतेः पुमान् कर्तृत्वं प्रकृतेः पुमान् कर्तृत्वं प्रकृतेः पुमान् कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैः आत्मनि मन्यते गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते एवं पराभिध्यानेन कर्तृत्वं प्रकृतेः पुमान् कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते एवं पराभिध्यानेन कर्तृत्वं प्रकृतेः पुमान् कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते. Evam, in this way, para, other, abhidhyanena, by identification, kartrutvam, the performance of activities, prakritehe, of the material nature, puman, the living entity, karma sukriyamaneshu, while the activities are being performed, gunaihi, by the three modes, atmani, to himself, manyate, he considers. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities, and thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Kindly repeat. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities, and thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The forgetful living entity can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad, or to a man haunted by ghosts who acts without control and yet thinks himself to be in control. Under the influence of material nature, the conditioned soul becomes absorbed in material consciousness. In this consciousness, whatever is done under the influence of the material energy is accepted by the conditioned soul as self-actuated. Actually, the soul in its pure state of existence should be in Krishna consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of the living entity is consciousness. The material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna or the Supreme Lord as Master and by changing the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. 1970 was a very turbulent year in the history of ISKCON. Although there had been attempts earlier also, but that year the attempts to overthrow Prabhupada from the movement became very pronounced. In the beginning of 1970, when books were being published in ISKCON Press, Prabhupada's title was left out. His Divine Grace was omitted, and the title Prabhupada was also omitted. And then, when Prabhupada went to San Francisco for the Rath Yatra, first they tried to prevent Prabhupada from attending the Rath Yatra, but when Prabhupada insisted, they took Prabhupada, but then they did not allow Prabhupada to climb the Ratha. There were others seated on the Ratha, but they did not allow Prabhupada to sit on the Ratha. So Prabhupada had to attend the Rath Yatra on the ground. And then Prabhupada wanted to meet all the temple presidents. They tried to prevent that also, but then Prabhupada went ahead and met them and formed the GBC. And of course, Prabhupada wanted to form the GBC anyway to run the movement in his absence. But then the catalyst for creating the GBC was all these attempts to take over the management. And Prabhupada thought, let there be a GBC so that there will be, the management will be protected, somebody will not be able to hijack it. And then there were attempts to filter whatever letters Prabhupada's disciples were writing. And Prabhupada wanted to read and personally respond to all the letters, but they were trying to, his secretaries were trying to prevent all the letters from reaching Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada, to address all this, Prabhupada went to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was imprisoned for several days. But finally, somehow Prabhupada contacted the other devotees and the others came, and there was a physical showdown, and then Prabhupada was rescued. And then after that, Prabhupada wanted to go to New Vrindavan, because in New Vrindavan, the first GBC meeting, the GBC wanted to meet for the first time in New Vrindavan on Janmashtami day. And all the temples were bringing all the devotees to New Vrindavan to celebrate Janmashtami. Along with that, the first GBC meeting will also happen. And New Vrindavan was being headed by Kirtanananda at that time. Prabhupada called Kirtanananda and told him that I want to come to New Vrindavan for Janmashtami. And Kirtanananda told Prabhupada, not required, please don't come. So then Prabhupada went to Hawaii, and Gaur Sundar was there. And Prabhupada told Gaur Sundar that I want to install Gaur-Nita in Hawaii, in the Hawaii temple. And he said, wait, let me consult and I will let you know whether we can allow you to install the deities or not. So when all this happened, Prabhupada practically, all of this was being spearheaded primarily by Brahmananda. And when Prabhupada saw all this, Prabhupada became very unhappy, very upset that all these people are the leaders and on whom Prabhupada had trusted a lot. And Prabhupada entrusted the movement, spreading of the movement. And these people themselves are thinking of taking over the movement. Actually, Prabhupada famously stated that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, after he passed away, his disciples started fighting for the property. Who will take control? Who will become Acharya? Prabhupada said in Prabhupada's case, in ISKCON, during Prabhupada's lifetime itself, they started fighting. So Prabhupada was very disappointed, and Prabhupada said, forget it, I'm going to go to India and I will spread the movement there. I don't want to be in America. And Prabhupada left. And Prabhupada came to India. Prabhupada went to Japan and then came to India towards the end of 1970. And then Prabhupada in 1971, that's how Prabhupada 71, 72 was. Prabhupada was primarily in India. He was not traveling abroad and all that. And 1971, in the around February, March is when the Bombay Pandal program was conducted, and Prabhupada was in a big way making attempts to preach in India, going to Ahmedabad, going to Surat, going to Hyderabad, everywhere Prabhupada was making preaching programs, Delhi, etc. So 1971, after the Bombay Pandal program, Prabhupada went to Russia. We all know how Professor Kotavsky, Prabhupada contacted him, and Prabhupada went to Russia to meet him. So when Prabhupada landed in Russia, immediately after the Bombay Pandal program, Prabhupada went to Russia. And Prabhupada landed in Russia. When Prabhupada landed in Russia, normally when you come, there are the immigration officials, they will check your things and all that. So they told Prabhupada, we want to check your baggage. Prabhupada said, okay, check my baggage. And they opened Prabhupada's bag and started checking everything. And suddenly they found one copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Immediately the airport officials called the police. Please come here. We have found someone carrying the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada thought, my God, I am finished now. Because in Russia, especially those days, even now it's like that, but those days it was an iron curtain. If you are found to be violating any of the laws of the land, they will put you in Siberia, in jail. And where nobody can know what is happening to you, nobody can contact you, you will disappear. That's all. So Prabhupada thought, I am finished now. Now they will put me in Siberia somewhere, and that will be the end. And then the police came, and they looked at the Bhagavad Gita. What is there? It's just the Bhagavad Gita. So they saw everything, they saw Prabhupada, and finally they said, no problem, leave it, it's okay. And so Prabhupada was really, okay, my God, bach gaya hai. So Prabhupada relates this incident to demonstrate how in the communist countries and socialist country, of course, USSR was a socialist country at that time, they are so much anti-religion. They cannot stand the name of religion, the name of God. Their thinking is, science is everything. Religion is the root of all problems. What is this God and all these things? There is nobody called God. Why we should submit ourselves to the authority of a God, even if a God exists? These are all primitive thinking. These are all blind faith, superstition. These are all not scientific thinking. These don't have any scientific basis. So this is how they claim. And they say, we know everything, we can control everything, we decide everything, we run the whole world, we run the whole country, we run the state, we run the country, we know how to do. We have by science we have discovered how to run this world. So what is this authority of God and all these kinds? These are all primitive thinking. These are all, dismiss all of these things. And so anybody wants to follow religion or anybody believes in God, they will immediately clamp down with great force. You can imagine, Prabhupada was just carrying one Bhagavad Gita, immediately police was called. This was the situation. Even today you go to China, you cannot openly practice Krishna consciousness. In fact, I think it was China or somewhere, there was a news about how one woman, she had been teaching her son about God, about about religion and all those things. I think she was teaching the Bible or something like that to him. And there was a neighbor. The neighbor also came to know, and he also started coming and joining them. And she used to read from some religious scripture and talk to them about God and all that. Somehow, the government came to know of this. And the government came to know, immediately they caught that woman and that man and put them in jail. You have violated the law of the land. You are teaching the child about God. This is against the law. Put her into jail. And that man, because he was going and attending the classes, you are assisting her. So you are also party to the crime. Put him also into jail. So this is normally the reaction of these communist atheists, because they are atheists. They don't believe in God, and anybody believes in God, they will clamp down with great force. For them, economy is everything, science is everything. This is how they function. So this kind of behavior, Prabhupada explained. Prabhupada gave an example how to understand this behavior of the atheists. Prabhupada quoted from Bengali literature, a composition by Sri Jagadananda Pandit. It is called the Prema Vivarta. Prema Vivarta. So in the Prema Vivarta, there is one verse which Prabhupada quoted. Pishachi paileyena matichanna haya, mayagarasta jivera haya se bhava udaya. So what this verse says is, mayagarasta jivera. When the living entity is influenced by material nature, by Maya, what happens? Pishachi paileyena. He will start acting like as if he has been haunted by a ghost. So when a person is haunted by a ghost, Pishachi paileyena. When a Pishachi takes control of you, when a ghost takes control of you, what will happen? You will start acting, talking all in an insane way, in a mad way, in an abnormal way, not in a normal way. And Prabhupada gave a practical example. Probably when Prabhupada was in his Grihastha days, Prabhupada was in Bombay. Probably it was during that time. So Prabhupada was a Grihastha, he was conducting his business and all that. There was a friend of Prabhupada's. And this friend of Prabhupada had a son, a grown-up son. And this son, this friend came and told Prabhupada that my son is in the hospital. I want to go and see him. And he is in Pune. You know, Bombay and Pune is like Mysore and Bangalore. About 2 hours, 3 hours, probably around that much distance. So he is admitted in a hospital in Pune. I want to go and meet him. Can you also accompany me? Prabhupada also went with him. So they went to Pune, and this hospital was not a normal hospital. It was a mental hospital. You see, those days, not like today. Today, psychiatry is far more advanced than it was in those days, 1930s, 40s, and all that. So, Shri Krishna Rukmani Satyabhama ki jai. So, you can imagine 70, 80 years ago how it would have been. And Prabhupada, when he went along with this friend to this mental hospital, those days, anybody has got any psychiatric issues, they'll be taken to a mental hospital and they will be kept there. They will not allow them to go home all these kind of things. It was a different way of treatment those days. So Prabhupada went with this friend to meet his son, and the son was quite normal when he met Prabhupada and all that. Nothing seemed to be, there did not seem to be any abnormality in him. The moment he saw his father, suddenly he exploded. He became angry and started shouting and calling him all bad words and almost became violent. So Prabhupada was saying that, he remembers this incident and he says how the father is a very nice person only. There is nothing wrong on his part. But this man, whenever he sees his father, he will go mad. So it is a, abnormal behavior, and he will start shouting at him, he will start abusing him, he will start calling him all ill names, although there is no fault on the part of the father. And so he had been admitted therefore to the mental hospital because his behavior is not normal and he is not in his proper senses. If he was in his right frame of mind, he wouldn't do that. He would be very respectful to his father. But because he has gone mad, what happens? There is no control. He doesn't know what he is doing. He is simply abusing his father. So similarly, Pishachi Paile Yena. When a person is haunted by a ghost, what will happen? He will talk all nonsense and he will start behaving erratically. He will become violent with people. All these things will happen. Pishachi Paile Yena Mati Channa Haya. When a person is haunted by a ghost, his mati, his intelligence is completely deviated. His intelligence is taken away. His intelligence is lost. Mati channa, it has become destroyed. His intelligence is destroyed. He cannot behave normally. He cannot behave properly. So, in a similar way, maya grasta jivera, when a jiva, when a living entity is controlled by maya, the influence of maya has become very strong on the jiva. What happens? Just like that madman, when he sees his father, he will start abusing him without any reason. Similarly, the living entity, when he hears about God, he will become angry. And he will start saying all these kind of crazy things. There is no God. What is this authority of God and all these things are primitive thinking. And science is everything, and economy is everything, and we have learned how to control, we are in control of everything. What you are in control of? Even eating you are not in control. If you eat a little more than what you are supposed to do, what will happen? Indigestion will happen. Then you have to run to the doctor. Even how much you can eat, you have no control. The body has a certain quota, only that much you can eat. You have no control over your own eating. And you are saying, I am controlling the whole world. And there is no God and all these kind of things. These are all mad talks. Only a madman will talk like this. And that is why in the Prema Vavarta it is stated, Pishachi Paile Yena. Only a person who is haunted by a ghost will say such things. Krishna is the Supreme Father. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Aham Bija Pradaha Pita Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. Krishna says he is the Father for all the living entities. So he is a very loving father, and Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Yo Bahunam Vidadati Kaman. All our requirements are being maintained by the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the one who is maintaining all of us. Without Krishna's will, without Krishna's grace, we cannot all survive. We will not even exist. So that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is our Father, who is our loving Father, if we tell that he does not exist, I don't believe him, he is not the controller, I am the controller, this is all ghostly haunted talks. Now, how does the Maya grasta jivera, how does Maya exert so much influence upon the living entity that it starts talking like a madman like this? There must be some way how it happens. So that is being stated by Kapila Deva here. Evam paravidhyanena kartrutvam prakritehe puman. Prakritehe kartrutvam. By the gunair atmani manyate. By the influence of the gunaihi, by the influence of the gunas, three gunas. The mode of satoguna, the mode of rajoguna, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance. So, Satoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. These three modes are what influence the living entity to think and act in a particular way and madly think that he is the controller and there is no God behind this material manifestation. So, this influence of material nature is very strong, very powerful. So much so that it takes away our intelligence and makes us believe that we are the controller and we are independent controllers. Nothing further can be, there can be nothing further from the truth than this. What is the reality? At every step we are controlled. We are so much controlled, we cannot even stop our eyes from blinking. So that's the level of dependence we have. There is no independence. And if it becomes dark, if all the light is switched off and there is no sunlight, there is no moonlight, we cannot see, we will not be able to see. We are dependent on the sun and the moon and electricity to be able to see. You see how dependent we are. Despite this dependence, because of the influence of the three modes of material nature, what happens? We think we are independent and we reject the supremacy of Krishna as the Supreme Lord, as the Supreme Creator. Krishna in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th verse, he explains this. Krishna says, Tribir gunamayair bhavair ebihi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyaha paramavyayam. So, Tribir gunamayair bhavair, because of the three modes of material nature, because of the influence of the three modes of material nature, sarvamidam jagat mohitam, this entire material manifestation, this whole universe is mohitam, it is bewildered. It is bewildered by the influence of the three modes of material nature. And mamebhyaha param, because of the influence of the three modes of material nature, and that three modes of material nature have covered the intelligence of the living entity, what happens? He cannot recognize the supremacy of Krishna. Krishna comes himself personally and he exhibits wonderful pastimes. He lifted the Govardhan hill on his little finger and held it up for 7 days effortlessly. It is stated, Kandukitam, Krishna treated Govardhan hill just like a small toy ball. Children, you would have seen, they play with these toy balls, isn't it? So when the children are playing with a toy ball, some plastic ball, something they are playing, they'll pick it up. So when they pick it up, do they struggle and then with great difficulty pick it up? No, for them, toy ball, no. They just pick it up and throw it and play around with it. So similarly, Krishna picked up the Govardhan hill just like a child picks up a toy ball. So Krishna made the Giri Govardhan, such a big mountain, it became like a toy for Krishna. It is like a toy for Krishna. This is the power of Krishna. This is the strength of Krishna. You can imagine. Krishna, for him to lift Govardhan hill is not a big deal at all, because Krishna is floating so many big planets in the sky, in space. The earth is floating, the sun is floating, Jupiter is floating, so many universes are floating. So for Krishna to make the universes float and all the planets float is not a big problem. So for him, what is there in lifting a small hill? Not a big deal. So you see, and Krishna fought with so many asuras. Putana, Trinavarta, Aghasura, Bakasura, Kamsa, Jarasandha. Like this, so many asuras came. Krishna defeated every one of them effortlessly. So Krishna personally displayed his power, but still people will not accept Krishna's supremacy. Then what happened? Krishna, so that people understand his supremacy, spoke the Bhagavad Gita in the middle of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And in that, Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, what did Krishna say? Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti Dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, Arjuna, there is nothing superior to me, Krishna declared. So Krishna declared himself to be the supreme. There is nobody equal to Krishna, there is nobody above Krishna. Krishna declared that in the Bhagavad Gita openly. And still we will not accept. You see how, although so much evidence is present in front of our eyes, we are not ready to accept the supremacy of Krishna. Why? Because Gunair Atmani Manyate Karma Sukriyamaneshu Kartrutvam. Prakrutehe Gunaihi Atmani Manyate. Because of the influence of the three modes of material nature, Mamebhya Param Nabhijanati. So the whole material universe, all the living entities, they are bewildered. And because of that bewilderment, they are not able to recognize the supremacy of Krishna. Although Krishna personally demonstrated his power and Krishna declared openly his supremacy, still they are not able to accept. Krishna displayed he exhibited his Vishwarupa. Still people are not able to accept Krishna's supremacy. Why? Because Tribir Gunamayair Bhavair Ebihi Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabhijanati Mamebhya Paramavyayam. Not knowing Krishna to be Param and Avyaya, to be the eternal supreme Lord, is due to the covering of the influence of the three modes of material nature. So, if one has to overcome the influence of the material nature, by one's own effort, it is not possible. It is possible to overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature only when we get the fortune of getting the shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. You see, we all devotees, we all also did not know the position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We might have been from Hindu families, we might have been religious, going to all kinds of temples, Krishna temple, Shiva temple, everywhere we would have been going. But before we came in touch with Prabhupada's books, what was our understanding of Krishna? Like Shiva is there, Ganesha is there, Durga is there, like that Krishna is one among them. Isn't it? We had no understanding of the difference between Krishna and all other devatas. For us, all were one. Anywhere you go, you pray and get whatever your desires are there fulfilled. Mohitam namaya janati mamebhya paramavyayam. Sarvamidam jagat mohitam. This entire universe is like this. Entire world is full of people who are mohitam, who are bewildered. And because of that bewilderment, mamebhya param avyayam, we are not able to recognize the supremacy of Krishna. But when we come in touch with a pure devotee like Prabhupada and we start reading Prabhupada's books, then what happens? Our eyes become opened up. Then we realize, oh my God, this is the position of Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is not an ordinary devata. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is the absolute truth, Param Satya. This understanding will dawn upon us. This is possible only when we achieve the shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, and we accept him as our Diksha Guru, and we start serving his instructions. Then what will happen is this knowledge will get revealed in our heart. Otherwise, the whole world is running around thinking that we are the controller, we are independent. Like Kapila Deva is stating here, Kartrutvam Prakrutehe Puman. Actually, everything is carried out by the three modes of material nature. But under the influence of the three modes of material nature, we are thinking, no, I am doing everything. In the 10th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Uddhava, when he was sent by Krishna to Vrindavan, Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan after Krishna went to Mathura. Actually, when Krishna was about 10 years, 6 months old, Akrura came to Vrindavan to take Krishna to Mathura on the order of Kamsa. And Krishna and Balaram went to Mathura and they killed Kamsa and they liberated Vasudeva, Devaki, Ugrasena, all those people who had been imprisoned by Kamsa. They freed all of them. Ugrasena was installed on the throne. And then Vasudeva and Devaki, they told Krishna, Krishna's Upanayana has not happened. So let us send him to Sandipani Muni's ashram in Ujjain. So immediately from Mathura, Krishna went to Ujjain. And for 64 days he was there. In 64 days he learnt all the 64 kalas. And then he came back to Mathura. So about 2.5 months or maybe maximum 3 months, Krishna was away. Now the moment Krishna came back to Mathura, first thing he did was he called Uddhava. Uddhava was his cousin. And he called Uddhava and he told him, all the residents of Vrindavan are suffering in separation from me. So you have to take my message to them to relieve their suffering. And tell them that I have got some unfinished business in Mathura. There are so many asuras. Let me finish all of them, kill all of them, then I'll come back to Vrindavan. Please tell them that I will satisfy my relatives in Mathura and I will immediately, very quickly, I'll be back in Vrindavan. And Krishna sent Uddhava with this message to Vrindavan. Krishna's thinking was that if Krishna comes back to Vrindavan, what will happen? Now Kamsa has been killed. Kamsa had a lot of friends. Dantavakra, Shalva, his Kamsa's father-in-law Jarasandha, like this, so many asuras were his friends and allies, Shishupala, etc. So if Krishna goes back to Vrindavan, all these people, all these asuras will come and start attacking Vrindavan openly. Then the peace of and the safety of all the Vrajavasis will be compromised. So Krishna thought, why do all that? Why put their lives at risk? They are peacefully taking care of the cows and all that. Let them be like that. So Krishna personally did not go. He sent Uddhava. Now Uddhava, when he came to meet, first he came to Nanda Maharaj's home. And when he came and met Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai was sitting and crying and crying and crying. She was not even able to speak. And Nanda Maharaj is also crying and he is saying, how is Krishna? Is he happy? Is he doing well? And does he remember us? Like this he was crying. So when Uddhava saw both of them crying like this, he thought how to give them some solace. So then he started philosophically preaching to them that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the controller of everybody. He is present everywhere. He is the all-pervading Supreme Personality. He is there as Paramatma in everyone's heart and all these kind of things. So when they heard all these things, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, they became a little pacified. One of the things that Uddhava told in this conversation with Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, Uddhava said, Yatha Brahmarika Drishtya Brahmativa Mahiyate Chitte Kartari Tatratma Kartevaham Dhiya Smritaha. He said that Yatha Brahmarika Drishtya Brahmayativa Mahiyate. So, Mahi means the earth. When you look at the earth, you see everything is stationary. You can see outside there is a lawn, there is one tree there is a pavement, everything is stable and it is stationary. Normally, the earth does not move. We move from place to place. The earth is always stationary, land is stationary. But then, in a special circumstance, your perception of the land will change. Brahmarika Drishtya. If we become dizzy, if we have vertigo, and our head starts spinning, what will happen? Any of you have had that experience? So, if you have had that experience, you will see. When your head becomes dizzy, when you become dizzy, you look, everything will be spinning. The land will be spinning. Actually, is the land spinning? Land is not spinning. But because you are dizzy, the land appears to be spinning. In reality, the land is not spinning. So, Brahmarika Drishtya, when your vision is affected by dizziness, Brahmarika, what happens? Brahmayativa Mahiyate. Mahi, the earth appears to be rotating. It appears to be spinning. Chitte kartari tatra atma. Similarly, tatra atma, the living entity, what happens is, chitte kartari, in his mind he thinks, I am the doer. Everything is being done by me. I am an independent worker. And because I am putting this effort, I am achieving this. And so let me work hard and I will get all these things. So this is a very big illusion which is created in the material world due to the influence of the three modes of material nature. Chitte kartari tatratma, karte vaham dhiya smritaha. Karta iva. Karta means you will start thinking, I am the doer. Why? Aham dhiya. Because of false ego, thinking that I am this body. Recently, on social media, there was one post. One person made a post talking about how he put a photograph of his standing in front of a ramshackle house, so-called house. There are 4 walls and there is a plastic, what do you call that one, tarpaulin or something like that for the roof. In some village, the wall is not even plastered and there is a mud flooring and all that. So he has taken a selfie in front of that and he says, this is where I used to live. And then he posted the next photograph. Now I am living in Dubai, and he is putting a selfie of his big villa there, and there is a imported car standing in front of him, and he says, now I have worked hard and I have come to this state. And so in social media, people are all putting comments. Yes, you do hard work and enjoy success. And this, that, and all those kind of things. Oh, yes, wonderful, congratulations, hard work has paid off, and all these kind of things. One person put one comment. He said, only hard work will not give you success. You also have to have luck. If you are not lucky, you go on working hard, nothing will come. This also happens to people, no? Everybody works hard. Is there anybody who doesn't work hard? Everybody works hard. But only one person becomes successful, and we start thinking that if you work hard, success will come. This is foolishness. At least that one person had a common sense to say that it's not just hard work alone, you have to have luck. So even there you see, they are not able to appreciate that you need the grace of God to be successful. They want to explain it away by saying it is all luck. What is luck? There is nothing called luck. Luck is a word which is used to avoid explaining the hand of God in our life. Actually speaking, there is nothing called luck. But fact is, people, when they see that I am putting effort, but the result is not coming according to in proportion with the effort I am putting. Somebody is working very hard and he fails. Another person doesn't work at all, he will become successful. How do you explain all this? So they say he had bad luck, he had good luck. What is this bad luck, good luck? So why doesn't everybody buy some good luck so that you become successful? He cannot do that. So there is nothing called a luck actually. So if everything is working according to the principle of you work hard and enjoy success, then there will be nothing called failure in this material world. Because everybody works, no. You can have degrees of success. Somebody may be highly successful, somebody may be moderately successful. Somebody worked very hard, he became highly successful. Somebody put in medium effort, he became moderately successful. Somebody put less effort, he became less successful. Nobody will fail. Because you will get result according to the effort you put. But failure happens in this material world. So how do you explain failure? So that people cannot explain. So therefore, chitte kartari tatratma. Although the living entity is not the doer, who is the doer then? We see everybody is engaged. Who is the doer? Who is impelling us to act? That is the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature are impelling us, forcing us to act every second in our lives. So, unable to see this, what we do, like Prabhupada when he went to Russia, they will say, no, there is no God. Bhagavad Gita cannot be allowed here. It is a crime. They are not able to see that God is in control of everything. We are not independent. We are dependent at every step in our life. So, the So the example given by Uddhava is just like when we become dizzy in a diseased state, it appears that the whole world is spinning. Similarly, in the diseased state of being conditioned by the three modes of material nature, it appears that I am putting effort and success is coming, result is coming. Whereas in reality, the three modes of material nature are working, they are forcing us to work, and the result is coming according to our past karma. This is the reality. So, we should not be, we should use our common sense and intelligence and understand from the Shastras, from the Vedas, from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavatam, the reality of how this whole material world functions. And we have to understand we are not the doer, we are not the controllers, we are not independent, we are always dependent upon Krishna. And so therefore, we should take shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, understand these realities of life, surrender to Krishna, become his devotee, render devotional service to him, and by doing that, what will happen? We will be able to overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mayam mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Only those people who surrender unto Krishna will be able to overcome the influence of material nature. Otherwise, thinking that I am independent, there is no God, I don't accept the authority of God, this is all very primitive thinking, this is all superstition, this is all blind faith, and with the help of science and technology, I will control the whole world, I will control material nature. These are all, you will never be able to overcome the influence of material nature. You will only get controlled more and more by material nature. The only way to overcome the control of material nature, overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature is Mameva ye prapadyante. We have to surrender unto a bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, accept Prabhupada as our Diksha Guru, and follow his instructions, become a devotee of Krishna, then we will be able to overcome the influence of material nature. This is what Kapila Deva is also stating. Evam parabidhyanena, because of identification with the body and because of because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities. Gunaihi Atmani manyate, Prakritehe gunaihi Atmani manyate, Kartrutvam Puman. And he thinks he is the, he wrongly applies the activities to himself, and thus he lives in great illusion, being bound by the three modes of material nature, undergoing all the miseries of birth, death, disease, and old age, and the three kinds of kleshas, three kinds of miserable occurrences. And so therefore, if one wants to become free from all this, the only way is to surrender unto Prabhupada and to Krishna and become a pure devotee and go back to Godhead. I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.